Okay, before the calculate function, we have to close it because that's the values. There's also values function we open it, but we didn't close it here. So before the calculate, all right, that works out. So we have the average sale per order. It calculates the average per order, order by order. And then after, it takes now the overall average so that it gives you a perfect average per order. And it goes the same if you want to do some sum, that has to go row by row. And then the same for count. If you want to count the unique. Okay, let us look at variables. Variables always use the word var, like VAR, inside a measure or calculated column. It stores an intermediate calculation and uses return to output the final result. So whenever you use the keyword var to create a variable, you must always use the word return after to return the result of what you've created. So it makes formulas more readable, avoid repeating the same calculation multiple times, and improve performance by calculating once and reusing it. So when do you use variables? When you have complex calculations. For example, you want to get the average sale per order in 2025 or in 2023. In that case, it's a complex calculation. You can use a variable. We're going to say that in Jiffy. So without variables, you have to repeat the sum of sales and sum of profit. For example, if you want to calculate the profit margin, which is profit divided by sales, without variables, you may want to repeat the sum of sales and sum of profit for each and every row. So to do that, we can use a variable. We can say average sale per order in 2023 is, we use the var, we'll create a temporary table to store the orders in 2023. So in that case, we're going to come to our superstore, new measure, and then the first thing we are going to do is we are going to say average sale per order in 2023 equals, then we use the var keyword. So we rename this with average sale per order in 2023. So the first thing we're going to use is we're going to use the var keyword to name a temporary table that we want to create. So we can use the var to say, let us increase this. So we come here. No. So we come here and we use var. And then when we use the var keyword, we have to now give the name of the temporary table we want to create. We can say orders 2023. So when you give the var keyword, you give the temporary table, temporary whatever you want to create, you give the name. And then now you can use the equal sign. And then we are going to use, since we want to create temporary table for all the orders in 2023, we are going to use the function calculate table. So our variable just has to hold that. So say the orders in 2023, we will use the function calculate table. And in calculate table, we are going to get the values of the superstore order ID for the year 2023. So values superstore order ID, then the year 2023. So we're going to take values, the values function, and then we take ID, which is superstore order ID. We have superstore order ID, and then we give a comma, and we're going to put the year 2023, and this year is found in the date table. So we have to say dim date, which is our date table for the year 2023. Since this is a function, we are going to the next function. We have to close it. So we'll close our brace before we take the dim date, and then for the year 2023. So we take the date table, then the date column, and then the year 2023. And then we can close our variable now. So you see, So with this, we can take the shift and the enter so that we go to the next row, and then we close the variable. So you see that we've created a variable called the orders for 2023, and it calculates and it creates a temporary table which gives the values for the superstore ID, order ID for the year 2023. Since we have defined our variable, which is orders 2023, we did the shift and the enter key, and the next row you need to return the variable. You've just defined it. So you've created a temporary table called calculate table, which has the orders for the year 2023. Now you want to return it. What do you do? In returning, you have to now use a function to calculate what you really wanted to do at the beginning. What we wanted to do was to get the average sale per order in 2023. So to get the average sale per order, we needed to first of all get the sales per order. Once we got the sales per order using that variable, now we can get our function now using the AverageX, which we have seen just a few minutes ago. And then we call in now that variable. And then we just calculate. So we're taking our orders 2023 variable. That's what we want to return. And then we are saying for this table, this temporary table we have created called orders 2023, get us, that means you sum the sales and then you give us the average per order. So it's going to use, we're going to use calculate again. And this time around, we are summing the superstore sales column. So we sum the superstore sales column. So we're going to use calculate again. And in this case, we take sum and then we take the superstore sales column. Then we close, shift and enter, and then we close again. All right. Okay. So do we close twice? We have to close twice up here. All right. So what this does is, let me take it over again. You create a temporary table called orders 2023, and the orders take just the values, all the values for the order ID for the year 2023, and keeps it temporarily virtually. You don't see it it's not in the data set, just holding it there. And then now you need to calculate the average order in that 2023. You simply call that table, which already had your values for the orders in 2023. You simply call that variable, and then you say for each of those values that you're already holding, calculate the sum per row and then take the average. And the confusion that always comes in is, why are we calculating average sales per order and we're using sum in the calculate function? Why are we using sum here? So we already said that you can have multiple orders for one order ID, right? So what we're saying is that for each order ID, first of all, sum those orders. Okay, when you sum those orders in the sales column, you sum the sales because you can have 3 items that were ordered by one, but you're using one order which will have one order ID. So you first of all sum all of that to give you the overall sales for that order. Okay, and then before you come and take the average using that average function which we've used there, the AverageX. And we're using AverageX here because of what we've explained before in just 5 minutes ago when we were talking about iterators, because we want to go row by row. We want to calculate the average of every order in 2023. Okay, so we hit the enter key here. And then there we go. We have our average sales per order in 2023. You're wondering what values is. Values is a function that returns a distinct list of values in a column. For example, we've used that to return the values for the order ID in 2023. So you always use it when you want to return a distinct list of of values. So that's the values function. We've seen the all function in the last module when we were using calculate function. We saw that you use calculate function and then you call in we use all to get everything. For example, we're talking about customer segment, and we said if you want to get the total sales for all customers, which means if you change your slicers, that total sales will remain. You can use calculate function, and then you use the all function inside. So we saw that in module 5. You may want to go through again. And then we also have so advanced time intelligence goes beyond our basic year to date and same period last year that we saw in module 5 and focuses on comparison logic like shifting time, context, and custom business calendars, all driven by a proper date table, which we already have as our dim date table in our data set. So time intelligence functions only work correctly when dates are continuous and there is a single authoritative date table, which we already have. We have seen same period last year in module 5. And now let us look at DateADD. It's flexible time shifting. So definition, DateADD shifts the date context forward or backward by a specified interval. When is it is used when you need month over month, quarter over quarter, or custom offsets, not just last year. And it is important because business questions are not always yearly. You can have to compare previous month, data for this month, previous month. You will not use same period last year to do that. You can use the DateADD. So let us, for example, calculate the total sales for the difference between the total sales for the current month and the current month you selected in your year. For example, you can say this is the month of January, and I want to calculate the difference between the total sales for this month and last month, which was December. So how do you do that? You use the calculate function, and you're going to use the DateADD function. So calculate total sales, DateADD, and then we're going to see how to do that. All right, so we come here and we create a measure. There are other ways to create a measure. You can still come to your menu up here and take new measure. You mustn't always right click there. So you can come up here and then you take new measure up here. It's the same thing. So we take measure and what's the title? What do we want to get? We want to get the sales previous month. We want to get the total sales for previous month. And so we will take this to be sales previous month. You see that we have to use sales. There's no same period last month. So we're going to use the DateADD. Sales previous month. That means if you select February, this measure will give you the sales for January. If you select January, it give you the sales for December. So we must bring in our calculate function, first of all. Shift enter to go to the next row, and then we get the total sales, which we already have total sales somewhere. Yes. Then in this case, we're going to use the DateADD. So I take DateADD, okay. And the DateADD function, you see, it's guiding up here. It's guiding us up here. So we need to first of all bring the dates, and the date is found where? In our dates column also. So in our dates table, dimension table. So it's the dim dates table. Then we are going to say dim date. First of all, we bring it the dim date, and then the function is still guiding us. It says, okay, when you have dim date, what's the next thing you have to do? You have to put a comma and number of intervals. So one the sales for last month. So you just take -1. That's the interval. If you want the sales for next month, you take +1. So the interval is just -1. If you want the sales for last 2 months, you take -2. So we take -1, comma, and then we'll put our answers in month since one is stays for last month. So the DateADD, you can use it for month, you can use it for year, you can use it for day. So if you wanted the sales for yesterday, we're going to use dim date -1, and then we'll put our answers in day, sorry. And so I think we close that. And that was no, we have to close it up here. We have to close it up here because it is the function for DateADD. And then we now come down and close for the calculate function and then hit the enter key. So we have the value for same period last year. You can see it here. Same period last month. For same period last year, we already had a function for year over year for same period last year to calculate. And then we saw year over year in module 5. So this is advanced time intelligence. You see DateADD. You can do same period. You can do last month, yesterday, last 2 months, last 2 days, last 2 weeks using the DateADD function. Very powerful function. All right. We also have the total year to date, total quarter to date, total month to date, like cumulative. So you calculate a cumulative totals from the start of the year. We saw total year to date last time, I think. So we can also have total year to quarter and total years to months to date. And it's used when running performance, executing dashboards, and progress tracking. And stakeholders care about progress, so not just isolated values. They want to know the total sales from the beginning of the year to today, the beginning of the month to today, and things like that. So let us try the sales year for total quarter to date. Let's concentrate on quarter. I think we saw year to date last time. Or let's do year to date, and we do we saw year to date last time. Let's just do it again. We'll do year to date, and we'll do total quarter to date. So sales year to date. Let's just see that. So come take new measure, and then we say our sales year to date, which means when the beginning of the year to date, it's going to be the sum total year to date sum function, and then we take the total sales and the dim date column. When you're using the time intelligence, you cannot do without the dim date table. So it's year total year to date, and then we are taking our total sales, which we already have, and then we're using the dim table, dim date table, and the date column. So that's that total year to date function. So that will give us the total sales from the beginning of the year to date. So in that case, you can hit the enter key, and you go to the next one, new measure. Now let us take the total sales quarter to date. Let's say you want to get the total sales for this quarter, total sales quarter to date. So we're gonna have total here to date. You can see that we take total sales, which we already have the total, and then take our dim date table and the dim date column. Then that's that. So those are the advanced time intelligence, and we're gonna see this when we're plotting our visuals, how you can maneuver all of that. And you can also compare year to date with last year to date. You can compare cumulative performances this year versus last year at the same points in time. And where are we ahead or behind compared to last year? We saw a total same period last year in module 5. We can also do same period last month, which we have seen, and same period last day, of course, yesterday. So what about ranking functions? Ranking functions let you order entities like products, customers, regions based on a measure such as sales or profit. So in our superstore data, we can it's common to look at the top products. We're not using TopN. I know you would like to, get TopN, top customers, worst performing regions, things like that. So the ranking function can help us to do all of that. So you can use the ranking, like RankX assigns a rank number to each row in a table, and based on the evaluation of a measure. And it's used when you want to rank products by sales, customers by profit, and regions by quantity. Like to get the highest product, that gave you the highest revenue, the products that gave you the highest revenue, the customer will give you the highest profits, the regions that are giving you the highest revenue, maybe the sites or the when you have new business, when your business grows in new countries, new regions, you can want to know all of that, which is very important. I think management will want to know that. So because row numbers don't tell relative performance, we need to use the ranking. So for example, let us rank the total sales by customer. By let's start by product. So we take rank X, all dim product, and then my product name total sales. So we're gonna take new measure, and then we want to rank. So in this case, there's a name. We're going to give the name customer sales ranking. So you see customer sales ranking, customer ranking by sales, right? Customer ranking by sales. So we have that. We can write it in our next row, and we are taking the RankX function. We have rank, We have RankX here, which is an iterator. We'll go row by row, and then we will take the all, and then we take our products table and the products name. So we are taking the all, we're ranking all the customers. Is it customer? Then it should be customer table. Since it's customer, we're ranking the customer table and the customer name. Customer table for where is the customer? Is there a customer name? Yes. So we're ranking the customer table by customer name, and we are taking that total sales. Total sales, and then we can close that. So this will give us the customer with the highest sales. That has given us the highest sales by name. So this is advanced DAX. You can do this for products. You can do this for regions and all of that. So what is DAX optimization? You have to start with a good data model. That's the first thing. A good model is a star schema. We've talked about this extensively. And then you should prefer measures over calculated columns. We're giving you the reasons why. Measures calculate at query time, and they calculate, and calculated columns calculate at refresh time. And so they are stored in memory and they take memory space, making your data to be slow. So always prefer to use measures. So you see us, most of our DAX, almost all our DAX we're using measures. And you use it when you have aggregated KPIs. Measures use less memory, are context aware, and perform better. So, and it also reduces cardinality, huge performance impact. So what is even cardinality? Is the number of distinct values in a column. And you use during data modeling, lower cardinality, better compression, faster scans, less memory usage. So all of this is just about how you organize your data before you even load it and things like that. So to have better performance, you should be able to use less memory and, avoid high cardinality text fields, avoid a lot of duplicates. That's why we had to separate our tables into superstore, which is the fact table, and then we had the products table, the customer table, to reduce a lot of duplicates, so that a customer in the customer table, each customer should have just one customer ID. In the product table, each product has product ID, and then we can focus the bigger thing in the fact table. So you need to organize your data like this so that you can have good performance. All right, so let us look at the top N. I think we are not seeing this, and it is very important in data in Power BI. So top N, let's look at top N, and then we end here. And next time we're going to continue with visuals, which is what I know you have been waiting for. So new measure, let us look at the top 5 products by sales. Top 5 products by sales, right? So in the top 5 products by sales, what you have to do is you have to use the calculate function, first of all, to get you the sum of superstore sales. The calculate function is very important. We have seen this and we've talked about it time and time again. We have said you use calculate when you want to override a filter or when you want to add a filter to your measure and things like that. If you just say top end of sales here, it will return a table, and that will never be used in a measure, because but we want to create a measure, right? We have taken new measure. We want to create a measure for top 5 products. But if you just say top end will just return the table, which would not make any sense. So in order for you to get the top 5 products in your measure, you need to bring in the calculate function. You understand the importance now? I think it is clearer. So you must bring in the calculate function, and for that, let's take the series, total series first of all. So you are bringing the calculate function because you want it to, it's like an opposite thing, because we should have ended with total sales. We have said, okay, top 5 products and then of total by total sales. But in this case, we're saying calculate the total sales for the top 5 products. You get the point. So that's how calculate works. So we take calculate, and then we take the total sales, And then this when we are going to bring in the top n function now. Okay. So to top n. So if we take comma, bring in top n function, right, in comma, and bring in top n now. And top n says you must tell us the number. It can be top 2, top 5, top 10. So let's take top 10. And what is the table that we're going to bring the top n from? The table is going to be our products table because we want it for the top 5 products. So it's going to be the values of the products table, products name, and total sales. So we're going to take values, dim products name. So here, values, because we want to bring in the values, right? Dim products name. Do we have that? Voila, we have it there. We close the values function because we saw what values will do. Just a few minutes ago, we have explained what values the values function does. And so we close our values function and take comma. So we're through with the values function, but we're still inside the top n function, you understand? Which is wrapped in the calculate function. So in the top n function, once you've given the value, which is 5, you've brought in the table. Now you want to the order by expression. You want to order by what now? And then we want order by total sales. I'm going to explain. You are still in top n and you want to order by total sales. Total sales. So you'll be asking me, this total sales that was found up here when we use calculate, why are we using total sales twice? This total sales we're using now is for the top n function. Top n function will take the value, you will take the table, and it will take what you want to order by. So you actually return the top 5 because you have ordered the top 5 for the product's name at the level of the total sales. But now, where will you put it? You can't just put this top in anyhow. And since you want to put it in the measure, that is when we're bringing the calculate function. Hope you understand now clearly and perfectly. All right, so when we get that, we're going to take our comma. And the top n function can gives us the flexibility to sort it in ascending or descending order. So in this case, it says 0, 1. It's descending order because it has to begin with the highest, right? And it goes down to the lowest. So we put it in descending order. I think with that, we're through with the top n, and then we need to go now and complete the calculate function, right? So top n, in this case, we're through the top n function, and we can close it. I like to write my functions like that. So how do we complete the calculate function? You simply close it. So the calculate function simply brought in the total series. Okay, so calculate function, you just wrap the top n, and then you say you're doing this, you're filtering this for total series. So it's bringing in the filter, just bringing in the filter. Because if you don't bring the calculate function, because the filter, you must tell us what you want to filter. We're filtering for the top series, right? For the sales column, which must be in our fact table anyway. So you're bringing the top n function to sub the values of the product name and order them by total sales descending order, but you must wrap all of this in a calculate function for it to work in the measure you're creating. And so you hit the enter key. And that is that for top n. I know you have not seen anything of these things yet. Once we get to measures to visuals in the next module, which is module 7, we're going to be using just all we have created. And that's how you do your work. Once you know your objectives, you create your measures, and then we just go look at them. We have a lot to use in our visuals. And you are creating your visuals and you see the need for another thing, you can create it based on management and the objectives you have and what the results of the report want to have. All right, see you in the next module.